So we have this gigantic mess that I need to clean up because I've had a ton of Amazon orders and such, and I always manage to just put everything on the table, and I need to record some videos, which I actually think it would be fun to show what my setup is for this YouTube channel basically, and how I film the talking head portion of the videos. And it's nothing fancy really. It takes place in like a pretty small space. So what I do for the light is actually really simple. I use this light. It's Falcon Eyes. It's like a light panel, pretty soft with just this. But I throw a bed sheet on a C-stand, so we'll set that up. Okay. Oh gosh, I blew that on myself. So then we punch in this light through this. There's so much stuff everywhere. See what I mean? That I just need to compress my life. Okay. And then we pinch that like that. So this is just like a really cheap bed sheet off of Target, but it just diffuses the light. And yeah, I'd very comfortably do this on my set. And then we have a clamp here. And then we just raise the C-stand. And I know that I just said that I hated C-stands, but I hate them for solo shooting. I think they're very versatile, and obviously the industry standard for a reason. You know, they can hold a bunch of different things. And this light, this is like basically the only light I use for my YouTube videos. So it's already ready to go pretty much. Little doohickey lights, they're not. And then I have it on a kind of like chain linked on a strip here. Oh, and then the other thing that I did for these lights was I did one of those cheap light strips on Amazon, and I taped it to the back of this stand here, and that's pretty much the setup for the YouTube videos. And then I just changed things on this shelf, like little things. This is not supposed to be here. This is like a step ring that I bought, but I have some vintage lenses. This like pretty cool like mug that my boyfriend got me. We're big into World of Warcraft and stuff, so. But this mug is not dishwasher safe, so I'm like, hey, I'll just put it on the shelf. So it's on the shelf, and just lenses and little doohickeys and things that I collect, I just throw them on here. Sometimes out of laziness, I actually only put these up here because I was fixing my bag for a shoot and had nowhere to put them, so I put them there. And yeah, if I had a little bit more space, my idea was that I wanted to get more bokeh with these lights, but since I typically shoot on a 2.8, the bokeh doesn't really go that far, so I don't really get like a whole ton of bokeh like I wanted out of those lights. Sometimes I do if I'm super close, or I think I'd have to get like one of those 35 millimeters 1.4 in order to get adequate bokeh, but yeah. We're trying our best out here, okay? So this is the camera I typically shoot all my videos on. It's A7S III. We're at like so many different ones now. And I typically put a black Pro Mist. I know putting Pro Mist on your filters is really cheesy, but I like it. And the reason I like putting Pro Mist on my cameras is I just feel like Sony's are way too digital, naturally, and I tend to buy pretty sharp lenses. Don't judge me that I put these in like in this little tiny bag, because I had like a quick last minute shoot yesterday and I just kind of crammed everything, but I don't typically cram everything like that, I swear. So yeah, so Pro Mist, why do I use Pro Mist a lot? I think that they just make the image look a little bit less like an iPhone, less of that HDR, less of that like super digital look. And Sony's in particular, and a lot of the lenses that I select for client work, like these Tamarins or even G Masters, like it just to me looks overly sharp and uninteresting. that might be the direction we're headed in, though. That might just be like the look that people want, and that's okay, but I like to de-sharpen the image, and it's a quick fix and it works in my opinion. I mean, definitely would love to be shooting with like these, like my vintage lenses, but honestly they're really hard to, it's really hard when I'm solo shooting myself in a setup like this to pull focus and not be out of focus. Maybe if I had a polar or something, then it would be different, but I typically am just pulling my own focus and it's not great. But yeah, I totally respect when people say that they don't like, that they think that the promises are cheesy. So there's a couple things that I want to get rid of in my kit, and one of them is this old tripod. It's honestly like the first tripod I ever had. I got it when I used to shoot a lot of weddings, and it was cheap on Amazon, and it has a pretty decent head. Now small rig and a bunch of the other brands that I like more have options, but this was a Coleman tripod. They've even updated this specific tripod, but it's pretty clunky. It's not the sturdiest, but it's fine for me having it in the corner, and I can throw it up easy when I'm going to do these talking heads. So in terms of camera settings, sometimes if I want, I need a card. Sometimes if I need to, I will set up the iPad so that I can look out what I'm looking at on the screen. But I'm going to use the iPad for notes. I usually script out my video ideas on the iPad, and that way I'm not just jibber jabbering. I have some notes on here, and I do that. I'm really trying to hustle this YouTube channel. Okay, so you guys are seeing the behind the scenes of that. So yeah, let's get cracking on it. I try to frame out just about, even though I'm shooting in 4K so I can crop in a little bit, but I try to frame out the edges of the backdrop. I believe this backdrop is 8x10. Don't fully quote me on that, but yeah. And then I also try to push this plant a little bit up, but sometimes, to be honest with you, I forgot to do that. So I also have a walking pad down there that I use on this stand-up desk. Everything's really tight in here. This is a pretty small room, so kind of have to work with what I have. Oh, another thing I think you guys might find interesting is I do, when I'm not feeling lazy, because sometimes I'll just be talking into the mic straight up. What I'll do is I'll tape a laugh to myself, and what I use is body tape. And I've actually met people on set that don't know about body tape, and I've given these rolls away to people. They're really cheap and they're great. I know people like to use fancy like Velcro things, but the body tape works great and it's really cheap. And you can get it at CVS and stuff if you're ever in a pinch. And I think I saw like a sound guy on the Food Network using the body tape, like when I worked for the Food Network a while ago. And I've been doing it ever since. And I think it's a great idea. And it's cheap. So we'll just go ahead and put that on. I don't really personally wear that much makeup either, so I totally get the pain. But I discovered this, it's a little tip, there is lotion that basically has like a tiny bit of foundation on it, and it doesn't feel like truly having a ton of foundation, but it does help with the pimples and stuff when you're filming. You throw some of this and a Pro Mist, and you got like the skin of a baby. I like these a lot. They're generally good. I haven't had a reason to upgrade. I probably will, I mean, depending how I feel about the DJI thing, I'll probably switch over to the DJIs because they come with a charging case and they're just really convenient. And I don't know, I mean, I see people with like the G3s and all this like fancy equipment, but I can't really be bothered. And the reason is that I feel these are fine. I feel the same way that I feel about these mics that I do about C-stands. I think getting G3s or whatever, like the Sennheisers, is great. But if I'm already gonna spend the money on that, I'd rather have a sound guy, you know? Like this, for me and solo shooting, this is perfect.